Good afternoon, guys. I am about 250 rounds into about a 3,000 round 556 run. All my brass I've got is range brass. What I've done is I started out with my nut wizard, picking it up out there at the range, bringing it home. Sort of cleaned it all out and get the dirt out, and I used my LEE this thing here. I use this LEE universal decapping die, and popped all the primers out. Then I stuck it in my Thumbler Tumbler and stainless steel washed them. Now what I do on mine, I've gotten away from using Lemishine, and this is stainless steel washed right here without Lemishine. And if it seems a little dull, if it's not, it's because it still has Dillon case lube on that. The Lemishine, you're supposed to use just very little. It says a quarter teaspoon is what everybody says. Believe me, that's it. That's all you use. Don't use much more than that. What will happen is the more you use, I thought, hey, if it worked at that amount, a little bit more will work better. It winds up tarnishing the brass later. The brass will actually darken a little bit because it's citric acid. You really need to make sure, if you are using it, wash it really good. And I'm talking about rinse it really good. So it comes out of my Thumbler Tumbler. I'm using nothing but hot water and Dawn dishwashing detergent to keep the stuff from adhering back to the case once it's clean. The stainless steel pins is what does the cleaning. So all clean. I come in. I don't come in. I dry them by just dumping them out on a towel, taking the excess water out and stuff like that. Usually water comes out pretty good because it doesn't have the primer pockets blocked by primers, and they dry pretty quick. I lay them out in wintertime. I set them by my back door. It faces the south, and it gets the southwest sun, and I dry my brass by just setting it in the sun inside the door. No, and dries pretty good. No soaps, no water spots on it or anything like that. Come in here. The next thing I use is my Dillon Super Swage 600. That is a pretty hefty little tool over there. It swages brass really well, and I highly recommend that. I used to cut them out with the just using a drill bit, and that works fine. But that makes all the primer pockets consistent. And with over 3,000 of them, I got probably about 15% of them are commercial brass. I just run right through them all, and it just takes care of them. I don't bother to look to see if it's mill crimped or not. All right, once that process is done, I ran them through my LEE sizing die and used Dillon case lube. I really like that stuff. You can make your own. It's lanolin, 10% lanolin, and the rest 90% heat. The alcohol you buy down there at the AutoZone or one of the auto parts places. And you can mix your own. I've got 2 bottles. When I run out, I'll probably do that. Let's see. Now they're sized and they're ready to go. They still got a little light film of the case lube on them, so I'll deal with that after I get through loading them. I'll be using. The next thing I did is I use this little tool right here. This is the LEE quick trim die. It's specifically for 223. You buy Pacific specific dies for your rifle calibers. I don't think they offer it in pistol. You can use the LEE zip trim for that. The problem with little 9mm and 380s, there's not enough room to use a chamfer tool on the outside edge of it. So what you wind up having to do is just use the chamfer tool on the inside edge, and then take the rough part of the chamfer tool, put it at the outside edge of the brass, and spin it. That's a good little tool once you trim it. It takes a little bit more time, but it works good. After a while, your thumb gets sore trying to tighten your case onto the mandrel there. So when I heard about this, I jumped on it. I saw that you could use the little cutter head. It attaches to a standard drill, cordless drill, and it has a bearing on it. The neat thing about this, it cuts it consistently to the proper depth, and it chamfers the inside and the outside edge of the case. You don't have to come back and do a separate step for it. And it's much quicker than the zip trim. Now, if the zip trim's all you got, hey, you got something good. It works great. You got the cutter head, and you got the gauge that you can change out. And it's going to stop once it, it gets to the proper depth. It's only going to cut one depth, and that's the way this is. It's going to cut it consistently. When it goes down, it's done. Alright, I'm using a LEE Classic turret right here. The Classic turret is a neat little deal. It's probably the handiest press you'll ever have right there. You can make it into a single stage press by simply taking your turret off and removing the little indexing rod. You see how it works. It's got that little twist to it right there. It has a sacrificial wrench down in there that wears out after a while. I keep probably 10 on hand. I can probably get, this press here has probably got, I don't know, 30,000 plus rounds through it, if probably close to 40 now. It's getting a little wear to it. But now I'm about every 5,000 rounds I place that little plastic wrench in there. You know it's going to wear out, so just go ahead and get it in advance. But that's the only thing that ever goes wrong on these things. If you can mess up the clamp, but for the price, I think I paid like $89 when this thing first came out, and it came with a turret. And it has a little deal on the bottom that catches all your spent primers, and it'll fill up and stay there, and it works as advertised. And so I'm using this. I'm using a LEE 4 die set. The process, I've already sized them, and when I trimmed them, I used a Dillon 223 case gauge to check them. I had about 3 or 4 blims that even after they were sized and trimmed, they were stretched so bad. I did away with them. I knew that they would be a culprit in a jam. Another little tool I've got laying somewhere is probably the cheapest little tool for safety on checking rifle brass. It's called a paper clip. I bend it, put a little hook on the end. When you size a case, right after you size it, you get off, you'll see some stressed areas on it. If it's bad, you'll see some stressed areas right in here where it looks like it's been stretched. You'll take this little hook and run down inside the case and use the tip, the feel for any cracks or dips or a little valley in there. If you feel that, toss that case. You're fixing to have a head separation. This one's okay. So I've got a piece of brass here. It's been cleaned, primer pocket swaged, trimmed to size, and sized, resized into proper dimensions right here. The other tool I'm using is a Hornady powder dispenser. I've got it set for 26 grains based on what my Lyman 1200 DPS says over there, and it's about as accurate as it comes. And I've got a Dillon balance beam type scale. It's over here in this box right here. I keep it put out, and I only use it to get my powder checked and set perfectly right there, and it is. So those are my tools. I got some Dillon, I got some LEE, I got some Hornady, and even RCBS right here that I've got the LEE quick trim gauge in. I highly recommend everybody own some of these for your pistols, for your rifles that you're going to depend on for defensive purposes. You want to know that what you've got is going to work. I used to take the barrels off my handguns, and each round I'd drop in the chamber, and sometimes I'd measure the length of the barrel to the head of the cartridge to make sure I was consistent on all the others. Well, that gets to be a pain in the butt when you can get one of these. The rifle ones are a little higher, about 26 bucks, and the pistols are about $16. So I highly recommend them. They'll save you a headache. So I'm going to run through my process of what I do. I'm using, this is the last of my Winchester 846 surplus powder. I had 8 pounds of it, and I've been liking that powder. I got to get some more at the next gun show. The next stuff I got is 842. I've got 8 pounds of it. It's a little bit faster. I think it's supposed to be more consistent to the CFE 223 powder. So I'm using Wolf NATO cartridges, NATO primers. They are very consistent. They work really great. So I prime my case, run it up into the powder through dye system that LEE has. Handy feature right there. On the pistol ones, it flares the case as well, the case, so you can accept a bullet. Alright, I'm using my Hornady powder drop, 26 grains. Here, I'm using Extreme bullets. These are 55 grain full metal jacket boat tails. It's got a very light channeler on it. I like that feature on here. It should not hinder any your bearing surfaces on your bullet, and as far as flying through the air, these bullets shoot less than an inch on my Colts Ocon, so it could probably shoot better. That's just the best I can do. Alright, got my powder charge. It rotated to the bullet seating die, and it's going to rotate over to the factory crimp die. This is a neat die, guys. A lot of folks say I don't crimp my rifle cartridges. Well, when you don't do that, you're relying on the brass to hold the bullet in. Now, of course, it's going to hold the bullet in regardless. What I'm saying is you're relying on the brass's strength to hold the bullet in. The next case over here may be weaker. It may be stronger. I don't know. This one may have been annealed, and this one may have been loaded a couple times, and it's just a little more brittle now. And it may hold the case harder, the bullet harder. What you do when you use the factory crimp die, it's a 360-degree squeeze around that case neck onto the bullet. And each round is done the same way. So what you have is consistency. So you have the same amount of pressure now holding this bullet as any one of them that's in that bucket down here below me that I'm throwing these in. Once I've got them loaded, this is what you're looking for right there. You see that? It's flush. That's where it's supposed to be. That means that the head space in here on the case is correct. I can actually visually see that the edge of the case that was trimmed with this LEE product over here is flush right here. I can see the edge of the channel lure on this one, and I see it on all of them. And this is the test right here, because I'm shooting in an AR platform, a semi-auto. You want it to be able to slide in and out of the chamber, just like that. So you know you're not going to be dealing with one of those jams or a stretched case that jammed your rifle, and you're lucky if you have one of those Leatherman mutt tools with the bolt tool on the end of it that you can grab up there and eject it, or sometimes you can actually tear your charging handle up trying to pull the bullet up. And I've actually seen people turn the rifle straight up in the air and pull on the op handle and slam the rifle down onto the benches to get it to eject. Now, this solves the problem before it even happens. Get one of these guys. All right, we'll go through another one. I'm really taking my time right here just because of this video. This actually does not take much time at all. Charge. Ooh. Bullet. Seat it. Crimp it. Clean it. Rub it on my pants and let me wash my pants here. Alright, got all the case lube off of it. That's what you're looking for right there. A good consistent round. Do it again. And I know too many people on some of these reloading threads right here who will just say, well, actually, I'll just quote one that was today. I just bought a Dillon 550B. Should I buy Dillon dies, or should I use my LEE? And then you get these threads where people, LEE is crap. Those people that say that stuff either didn't take time to set their presses up. Yeah, the progressive LEE presses are hard to set up, but once you get them set, they work. This right here is a no-brainer right here, just about. Now, this is probably the most handiest press you'll ever use. And look, guys, if LEE was crap, that case would not be flush in there. The shoulder would show headspace issues right there. The edge of the case wouldn't be there. Using the LEE tools, I'm using nothing but LEE tools there and checking it against the Dillon. That Dillon has to do the same thing as this. That cartridge there is just as good as anything loaded on a RCBS, on a Hornady, on a Dillon, and a LEE, on a Lyman, all those other ones. That's going to be an accurate cartridge right there. Now I get off my soapbox on LEE. I like them. It's inexpensive. It's a good product to start off with. But RCBS makes some good stuff. But I spent the extra money on that Dillon over there. And on this Dillon right here. But I don't load my precision stuff on it, even though I do have a conversion kit for 223. So it's just good stuff. Alright, now I'm going to do my powder charge. I prime it, run it up in the die, do my powder charge. And let me put one more bullet in there and just compare it to the next one. Boom. Get it off, clean it off, stick it in there. There's another one. Perfect. Guys, it's all good stuff. Hornady, LEE, Dillon, RCBS, all good stuff. And you can load some pretty accurate stuff. But there's some innovative stuff that LEE has. Now this little setup right here, Dillon can do the same thing for about $300, where you can do this right here for $7.95 for a die and keep your cutter head. So, I appreciate y'all watching this. If it helped, great, thank you. Do a like, or give me a like, and I got some other videos on that might be interesting to you. Maybe the most boring stuff you ever heard, but this is how I go through it. I'll have these 3,000 done in a couple days right there, and so thanks.